Well, Jay Banwell is here from Royal 62 Records. How are you doing today?
Good.
Yeah, I've just noticed I think we've got the same headphones, by the way, which is really cool.
That is a good taste.
So, as a record company, what kind of genres and things do Royal 62 Records like to focus on?
There's two genres really because of the groups that are under the umbrella Royal 62 Records. And so one of those genres would be, you could say pop, rock and roll music. That would be more the area of Purple Lip play. And then as far as Bandwell goes, that is more oriented towards the influences of blues and country. And there's some rock elements in Bandwell, but it's more organic and a bit more bluesy and countryish.
Yeah. And are these bands that you're in? Because you're in Purple Lake Play, aren't you? Are you in Bandwell as well?
Yes, yeah, that's
Ah,
correct. Yeah, I
yes.
participate in both. Yeah.
So it's quite good to have your own record company, I take it.
Yes, that is good. Have
Yeah.
some control. Yeah.
And what is the main benefit of that then?
Well, I think it was Prince that at one time talked about being able to have artistic control. And if you own your own record company, you have that ability. If you work for a record company, you usually do not. You're going to be under the reins of a producer or the record company itself, and a lot of times put into a
Yeah.
box.
Are there limitations though in terms of exposure, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, there's challenges. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Big record companies have a lot of resources, so they can pay thousands of dollars for videos, marketing, and other things. I don't have that advantage, but I still have ways I can do things to compete.
Yeah.
So,
And would your record company consider taking on other bands that you're not in yourself?
what do we consider when we take them on? You mean?
Yeah, well, do you take on bands that you aren't in?
Well, I would put it more like I try to worry about what I can control and let the rest of it take care of itself. I look at other bands. Other bands are obviously competition, but other bands also help influence me, and other bands have their business to do, just like I do. So I just try to make my mark, and however much of a mark that is, I'm good with it. I think that's about all you can do. If I'm worried about competing with another band, then I think that's going to lean a tendency towards trying to sound like another band, and that's the last thing I want to do.
Yeah. And as well, I suppose when you're running a record company, there's a bit of a businessy side. Is that
Yeah.
a downside because maybe you'd want to focus more on the music side, or do you not really mind it?
I don't mind it, but you've hit on a real good point. I'm able to manage the accounting side of it and the taxes and things like that, keep the company out of legal trouble. It's been trademarked and all those good things. I'm not a lawyer, but at least I've been able to answer their questions when they've come to me.
Yeah.
But when it gets busier, that does get more complicated. When you get more inquiries and things that come in your way, I'll have to worry about balancing that ball better when I get there. Luckily, I'm able to handle it so far.
Yeah. And are there other people involved in the record company, or is it just you just now?
I would say overall, it's mainly me. I mean, the contributions that come into the record company are from the musicians, and I pay a number of independent musicians, and I have a gentleman that mixes for me by the name of Tim Keckley. So I really consider them a part of the company. The company does pay them. That's easy for me to do. That doesn't take much time. So I would say they're the largest contributors, and that's the way it's intended to be.
Yeah. And of the two bands that you're in, Purplic Play and Bandwall, is there one that you prefer the most?
No, I wear both those stripes pretty much even keel. I'm close to
Yeah.
being done with a Bandwell project right now, and I'm looking forward to. I switch them off each project, and I'm looking forward to getting back into Purple at Play and getting on the rocky side again. But just like the typical cycle I've gone through, about the time that project concludes, I'll be wanting to go back to probably more acoustic guitars and things and getting back into Banwell again for its next project.
Yeah, and is there any genre perhaps that you don't do in those bands that you would like to do?
I don't know if I point to a particular genre. I look at each project as some challenges and something that I want to do.
Yeah.
And I think the best way to make your have your cornerstone marked in music is the lyrics you do.
Mm.
The music provides melodies and really helps carry everything, but your lyrics are what I think have most of the meaning. And
Yeah.
so being able to write songs about subjects and things, areas that I want to cover, there's always a new challenge. There are so many things to write about.
Yeah. And of course, Purple, Look Play, and Banwall are different in terms of genre. Are they different in
Right.
terms of the lyrics as well?
A little bit. Bandwell is going to lean more on the personal side of things, people.
Mm.
In the Bill's Saloon project that I did, it was really about relationships and the challenges that people have, the challenges with drinking,
Mm.
the fun side of things also, and stuff like that, that you would picture a lot of country bands doing, dancing activities, barroom activities, but then the downside also of not being careful and drinking too much, relationships. There was one song on Bill's Saloon about child abuse
Mm.
that's a serious subject. Another one about a lady that had struggles, a single mom. So I really try to hit in those areas. The current project I'm doing right now for Bandwell, War Stories, is really different journals about different events in war over
Mm.
time, going way back to the American Revolutionary War, almost up to present day. And I cover different topics that soldiers have struggled with in war.
Yeah, and for those songs, how's it done? Is it a song? There's a lot of songs, I suppose, where you're listening to it and you don't actually, if you're not paying attention to the lyrics, you don't actually realize the song is about war. Is it
Right.
obvious from the genre and style that it's a perhaps negative song in a way, or could you be able to tell that it's about a bad thing?
I think when you hear the songs out of war stories, you're going to be able to tell that a lot of it, unfortunately, hits on a harsh, very tough topic, and that's
Mm.
war and combat and death and those things. Not to say that there's good news stories. There's heroicism. One of the songs is about an English officer, Major Digby, from World War II, true story, and these are all
Mm.
true stories.
Mm.
And he had a comical side to him. He had a great sense of humor, and that's what I think gave his men courage in battle at the Battle of Arnhem, etc. So there's the positive side to it. He also lost men,
Mm.
but leadership. You have to be a person. You have to be real. You can't be a robot,
Yeah.
or your men are not going to follow you. I've been a military leader,
Mm.
so you have to have that side.
Yeah. And being a military leader, has that inspired a lot of the content in this project?
Absolutely. I had soldiers that, I had one that committed suicide.
Mm.
I've had soldiers have other issues and challenges in front of them, relationship issues.
Yeah.
And I've seen soldiers lost in some of the units I've been affiliated with in areas like Afghanistan. I deployed to Kosovo, stuff like that. So it's very much been an influence
Yeah.
in what I've
So,
done there.
what was your early life like in music? Were you surrounded by it a lot?
Yeah, my dad, I'd have to say, I give him the most credit for starting me in music. He was a trumpet player,
Mm.
very good trumpet player. And at first, when he was going to college, that's what he was going to major in. It ended up he went into economics in the long run. But mom and dad both played instruments, and so in grade school, dad really pushed me along to get started in trumpet, and then that led to other things in junior high and high school. other
Mm.
instruments I took on with the guitars and keyboards and such.
And I suppose there's a difference between picking up a guitar and playing it and then actually recording a song and getting into music properly. So,
Yeah.
what made you want to actually write and produce music?
The desire to have your own animal, to own
Mm.
something and to make more of a contribution. Uh, Early on in my musical career, especially in high school and the first part of college, I played in bands that mainly did cover songs. And
Yeah.
look, I love the Beatles, I love the Who, I love Elvis Presley, Jimi Hendrix, on. But eventually, you've got to uh, write and record your own music and have control over what goes on. And it's more enjoyable. It's something that you do, and it means a lot more than playing someone else's song
Yeah.
to me.
And can cover songs still be a good thing sometimes, though? Maybe if you're doing a gig where maybe some people haven't heard of you, them hearing a familiar song might be a good way to
Oh,
for them to enjoy it.
yeah, yeah. And look, I'm not going to lie to you. I even get excited seeing live concerts, seeing musicians uh, pick up a cover song and do their versions of it. Now,
Yeah.
sometimes, in honesty, I can't stand their
Yeah.
versions that they do of a cover, but I've seen musicians take a song that wasn't very well known from a well known artist and help give it extra life and another flavor. And it takes that song up a number of notches. So, I like to see that. And I have done a little bit of that myself. I have yet to record a cover song, but I have a gut feeling that I will do that one of these days. I just haven't made a decision yet as to what cover song that will be, but I see that happening.
Yeah. And I suppose you've got to do a good version, haven't you? You don't want to just do a cover song because you feel like you have to. Because as you mentioned,
Right.
some of the ones aren't very good.
Yeah, yeah. There's got to be a good reason, and you've got to be into it heart and soul. It shouldn't be something that you're being pushed into doing or anything like that. It should be like, hey, I've got a good reason to, do this song. Like maybe there's a
Yeah.
song that should have been more popular than it was, and it's like, by God, I'm going to do this tune, to help it. Or there could be a real popular song, and it's like, look, I think people want to hear this again. It's not been on the airwaves lately. Let's give it a run. So whatever those motivations might be.
Yeah. And do you remember what the first song you ever wrote was?
Yes,
Ah.
I do. It was about my music instructor in junior high, and I think the name of the song was "The Ballad of Matt Botzker,"
Oh.
and the song was honestly pretty awful.
Yeah.
But it was at least on the positive side because I played it in front of him and he got a laugh out of it because he saw right in front of him the sheet music and what the name was. And
Yeah.
but he was very positive about it. So it helped give me inspiration to go on and keep trying it. There was also a song early on I wrote called Bigfoot that was not great, but it was an attempt to do something, and it was just a rockabilly style song. And again, it was something to try. And those were my first two that I remember.
Yeah.
And I
And
was about 14, 13 or 14 years old,
yeah.
you know.
And I suppose at that age, is it quite difficult? Like, have you got better at writing as you've gotten older?
Oh yes, yeah. You refine your skills. I think probably the most influential writer that's influenced me the most and has helped given me structure to work within is a gentleman by the name of Jimmy Webb.
Mm.
He wrote hits like MacArthur Park,
Yeah.
Wichita Lineman. He did a lot of work with Glenn Campbell back years ago, and he's written songs that other artists have done. And he really takes the scientific approach in songwriting. He covers the whole gamut, the chord structure, the definitions of, builds, bridges, verses, etc., all the tools you can use. He's really the guy
Yeah,
that I look after.
he's one of the most prolific writers, isn't he? Wichita Lineman, in my opinion, I think is one of the greatest songs ever written. And there's an interesting
Yeah,
story there because it was actually unfinished, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah, and another great song he wrote was the one about the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And shame on me. Oh, pardon me. Now I've got it. Galveston.
Yeah.
That was a big hit, and it really it gives you goosebumps. I mean, it was just so well done.
Yeah.
And he's still with us. So I just have a lot of respect for him. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's the guy, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Well, have you got any other projects coming up after this War Stories album? Anything?
I do. The next project for Purple Look Play is going to be called the Purple Album,
Wow.
which makes sense. And I have probably 70% of the bones of the songs ready
Yeah.
for that project. I always add in a few songs late. It's just the way I do things.
Yeah.
And I've got 2 or 3 songs that I'm in the midst of completing for War Stories. There's some mix downs to do,
Mm.
and then I'll be ready to move on to the Purple album.
Yeah.
Um,
Great.
so
Well, where can we find all your music then, and keep up to date with the record company?
Well, I both bands are on Spotify. I know that the most common way people get songs right now is streaming, so it's
Yeah.
Bandwill and Purple Lip Play can be found via search on Spotify, and then both bands also have websites. Also, there's purplelipplay.rocks and then bandwell.net. So both those websites are ways to get a look at the bands and purchase digital music as well.
Great. Well,
I'm on Amazon and iTunes. It's on there too.
great.
So
Well, thanks for coming on today. It's been great to talk to you.
likewise.